What's going on, everybody? As both Citlali and Mavuika are out at the same time, there's a debate going on which one to pull first after getting C0 Mavuika, making the choice between C0 Citlali, Mavuika's signature, or her own C1. That's why in this video I'm gonna give you my full analysis over these items, helping you to make the best decision. But what if you're just short of Primogems to reach the PD? That's when LD Shop comes in to save the day. It's an official platform created by LD Player Emulator Group, which offers much cheaper Primogems compared to the in-game store. On top of that, if you're a new user who registers through my link, you'll receive another 5% discount on your purchase for up to $50 rebate. But that's not all. If you spend over $80 in a single month, you'll be promoted as a VIP with tons of freebies waiting for you to claim, such as a free welcome moon each month, plus a ton of additional coupons just for you every week and month. Now if you're worrying about its authenticity, I've already tried it out myself, so fear not. It's both safe and simple. All you need to do is to key in your UID and server, choose your method of payment, and you're good to go just like that. It increases the duration of an off-field pyro from 12 seconds to. So if you ever find yourself in a real pinch, check out LD Shop to save your money. All the links are in the description. Alright, first of all, let's talk about the value of C0 Citlali for Mavuika, in which I'll have to show you my build first. From my experience, if you're going for TDDS, she has to go for the Scroll of Hero artifact, otherwise she'll be extremely hard to recharge. She requires her burst to apply cryo, just to remind you. So that's why in exchange, Citlali will be going for Archive Petra instead, as she's much easier to recharge than Citlali, especially with our sword. That's how you maximize the damage with Citlali. So after optimizing the setouts for Citlali's team, this is the damage difference between C6 Rosaria and C0 Citlali, which is actually a very significant boost. Just to let you know, this is not yet including the extra fighting spirit from Citlali, as both teams start at maximum 200 fighting spirit in this comparison. As for the second rotation onwards, where both teams start at 0 fighting spirit, that's when Citlali's Night Sword becomes very significant, which is another 15% improvement over Rosaria compared to the previous. It will be even more if you don't have Citlali. For your benefits, I've done the test with C0 Mavuika as well, in which, to our surprise, she's actually just on par with C6 Rosaria, which is still much weaker than Citlali. So that's why for Mavuika, Mel is just far superior than Vaporize. But to be fair, unlike Rosaria and Citlali, Mavuika is a sub DPS who provides a very decent amount of off-field damage, especially under the buffs from Citlali. In this footage, she's almost dealing 200,000 damage off-field, which actually makes it on par with C0 Citlali. But starting from second rotation onwards, this becomes so much trickier for Mavuika. In long battle against boss, it's actually pretty hard to trigger the Pyro Crystallization for Scroll of Heroes buff, as your enemy will be affected by Hydro Aura for the most part. So that's why in case you didn't manage to do it like in this footage, it will be much worse than both Rosaria and Citlali. That's the situation for C0 Mavuika. Well, I've probably strayed too far, so let's go back to our Citlali. Aside from improving Mavuika's damage, she also provides a moderate shield, in which it's basically only used for protecting you from getting one-shot by enemies, which is surprisingly extremely common with Bandless Pyro. Countless times I've died without Citlali when recording footage, so I guess the shield is not 100% worthless. Alright, as for Mavuika's signature weapon, it's a pretty straightforward damage boost across the board without any requirement to meet. Compared to other free-to-play weapons, it's around 20% damage boost to all the attacks, which hasn't included the 11% crit rate boost for the blazing stuns. At the same time, for some reason, even if you're not bringing Bennett for your team, the damage difference is just as large as before without any change. So that means we can conclude it's overall around 30% boost to all the situation. Now aside from Mavuika herself, this Claymore is actually extremely universal to the point that every single Claymore DPS or sub DPS can use it with very decent improvements. Hell, even Arataki Ito can benefit from it, who is almost completely scales on defense. So that's how good the R1 Blazing Suns is. So if you don't have many 5-star Claymore in your bag, now is a pretty good time to pull one. especially if you have many Claymore DPS. By the way, since there's a chance you might lose your soft PT to Citlali's signature, I'll be analyzing its value as well. Though sad news for you, this isn't a good weapon even for Citlali herself, mainly because TTDS is literally just as strong. There's almost zero difference compared to TTDS, which I can't believe is a signature. So the only benefit from it is the 300 Elemental Mastery, in which its only effect is making her shield slightly stronger, which is 100% not worth a 5-star in my opinion. At the same time, it's also pretty worthless for the others as well, since only Baiju or C4 Yanfei can use it, but considering they are so hard to recharge without energy weapon, no, it just doesn't work. So finally we're going to talk about Mavuika's C1, which basically has two effects in the battle. First of all, it increases the duration of her off-field pyro from 12 seconds to 18, in which, in my opinion, is pretty worthless. After trying all sorts of things for an entire day, I haven't met a single instance where I thought, oh wow, this would be so much better if her pyro lasts a bit longer. Yes, not even once. Even worse, there's actually a scenario where longer pyro is actually bad, and that's Kinich Pure Burning Team. For your information, Mavuika can only trigger Scroll of Heroes buff if she hits Dendro affected enemies with her damage. But what C1 does is that there's no downtime to her pyro application, which causes all the enemies to be affected by pyro without leaving any chance for Kinich and Emily to apply Dendro first. That's how you lose the Scroll of Heroes buff. The second effect, however, is much more useful, which basically allows her to fully charge her burst with just a single Nathan teammate instead of two. So that means in teams with just Citlali, it's 15% improvement from the second rotation onwards, which is pretty nice but not game changing yet. On the other hand, she's now become completely self-sufficient without Nathan teammates, which unlocks many team options for her. But meta-wise, you still have to bring Citlali most of the time, not just because of her battery, but she's one of the best support in the game. The last effect is the 40% attack boost, which is basically an additional TTDS for Mavuika. In teams where you bring Bennett, it's less than 10% in damage boost. Not great, but not bad either. So basically at the end of the day, it's around 20% boost in damage in total, but only for the second rotation onwards. So finally here comes the conclusion. If you can only afford one additional 5-star after pulling Mavuika, the first choice is definitely our C0 Citlali. It has the highest damage ceiling among all, while being much easier to play compared to both Rosaria and C0 Fulina. Not to mention there's a way to go for more melts with her, in which veterans like yourself could give it a try to massively boost her damage once more. On the other hand, she's also a great support for the others as well, especially C6 gaming. So unless your Fulina is like C1, C2 or above, you should always go for the Granny first. The second one would be the signature, which is around 30% damage boost across the board. Simple and yet powerful. At the same time, it's also one of the most universal weapons for Claymore DPS and sub DPS, which is great for those who didn't pull many weapons. So basically, if you're not a fan of Melt or you already have C2 Fulina, this is the best option for you to go for. The last one is going to be her C1, as it feels more like a quality of life than being real powerful. The best part of it is that it makes her less dependent on Nathan units, unlocking many team options for her. But in terms of meta, she's still stuck with Citlali most of the time, which lowers the effectiveness of this constellation. So unless your main goal is to reach her C2, you shouldn't go for her C1 alone. So that's basically everything about this video, in which I hope this helps you in your decision. Thanks for watching and I'll be seeing you in the next one.
Tell me what you see.